Hello guys and welcome to GA Flying. Today we are in New Zealand and we will be checking out the new release of the System Pulse add-on to the Airvan from SimWorks Studios. So this is like a separate paid plugin that you are using together with the plane from the same company, from the same developer. And what the plugin is doing is it's adding maintenance features, failures, wear and tear to this plane. So it pretty much adds features very similar to the features provided in A2A planes. And in many areas it's a little bit simpler, but there are areas where I think not even A2A has tried doing it. So we will be talking about all of the small details. When it comes to the plane at all, it's actually like the type of plane that I love. So like a not too big, rugged utility plane, so it's my favorite type, and this is also why I find it really interesting. And just to spoil it, it doesn't reach the level of A2A yet, but on the same side A2A is not offering a plane of this type that I like the most, so that's for sure a strong benefit in my book. Let me show where we will be flying. So we are starting at Queenstown. So this is the custom airport that everyone is getting. One of the cooler airports that we have out there, totally for free. So if you haven't done any flights from here, I can really recommend it. Let me now show where we will start. So this is Queenstown. We'll be taking off and flying along this path, pretty much along this valley here. We might be visiting this region here just because I have bought, an upgrade to the terrain there. Let me just show you what it is. So it's a bigger product that is offered by Orbx, and it's not only overhauling the Wanaka airport where we will be landing, but like everything here, adding a lot of strips, adding a lot of huts in the mountains, so perfect, for example, for helicopter flying. So we'll be checking it out. Me, myself, I have only seen just a very small part of it. And with this, I think we can take a look at the plane. So in general, the original plane, the real-life plane, is also a pretty simple construction, so there is not much that we can expect here, but there is some very fine detail that I like. I'm not sure if it's visible with this light. For example, here we can see lots and lots of detail, and also here on those parts, so this is pretty nicely made with the mechanism here visible. And you can also see it here. Then during the flight we will also take a closer look. I think I can go, let me maybe reset the view first, so we will have it as standard view. I think this is fine. Now let me go inside and outside to show you the walk around. So as you can expect, we have the covers here. I think this is the older type of those ribbons and stuff. Let me take away the chocks. Nice sounds. One thing that I'm always forgetting is the cover here, because it's like very small and easy to miss. And we also have a second chock. So in this plane we do have an oil system, and we have to check and refill the oil. The problem is similar as with A2A, with checking the tanks, that depending on the light you cannot see anything. So if you would have proper light, we would actually see the oil level here, but sadly we would have to wait a couple of hours till we get more light. So maybe next time, but I will show it to you, the system in the tablet. Oh, come on. Now I will play around with it. Okay, I think it just closes if you move away. Yeah, exactly. So it's a plane from the same company that's doing the Kodiak, so we can expect similar functionality, but not the failures. The failures are much more advanced than in the Kodiak. And this is also the main selling point of the plane. One interesting fact about the plane, like currently, is that it's on a very high sale. I think it's minus 50%, both for the plane and for this plugin, this System Pulse plugin. And the exact prices I will tell you in a second, once we will go to the specific points that I find interesting about the plane. What did I want to do? Yeah, I wanted to let the passengers in. Once again, a 2-click process, pretty cool. I'm not sure if I have seen a sliding door with such a nice animation in the sim. Either way, it's here. We can also open our door. And now, let me just make sure I'm recording because I had some problems before. I actually didn't want to go in, so we can click to go outside. But I wanted to get some passengers and some cargo. And this is one of the nicer features of the plane. That obviously you have the visuals of everything that will be happening, but also depending on how much we load, we will have, for example, different baggage loaded. So let me just show it to you. Let's say not so heavy passengers, just not to waste time, and no co-pilot. And now let's load it. And we can see those people. And now let's get some cargo. So here we have the cargo pods. Let's say this will be 100. But if I would make it 200, we would have more. So lots and lots of detail. Let us maybe not load that much. And we also have visible cargo in the back. And it also depends on the amount that you will type in. So pretty interactive, a lot of fun, very tactile to prepare the plane for flight. Once again, something that I really like in those planes. Let's make sure if everything is safe and close this up. Nice, and with this we can go inside. Let me make sure that everything is removed, that should be removed. It's also having this carrier compatible like flaps checks, strut checks, brakes checks, but only for carrier mode. And it is carrier mode compatible. Did I write it down? I think I have it in my file, but for sure one of those like usage areas in the carrier mode is skydiving, and there is also like a skydiving interior, an empty one. So when it comes to the presentation of the plane, I think it's one of the planes with the worst presentation, so I didn't like it at all in the beginning. So the click spots kind of require you to learn them. The EFB I don't like at all, which is sad because it was also introduced in the PC-12 and they want to also introduce it in other planes. Normally I like EFBs, but this looks really bad and I will show you the details in a second. That saying, it should not detract you from the plane because the plane is actually pretty cool. And now you can get it for a very low price, I think for 2 days, but we will talk about it. And so maybe let's start with the tablet, because I will want to hide the tablet after it, because as I said, I don't like it at all. So here you have some fuel, just normal. And here you have some payload, but actually this doesn't always work. I'm not sure what the mechanism exactly is. There's a lot of explanations in the manual, why sometimes the cargo doesn't appear, why sometimes the passengers don't appear. I think the developers had like good reasons for doing it like this, but like when I'm using the tablet from MSFS, it always works, so why should I care? Okay, I'm just not using it. So in the flight deck, we have the manual, which you can also download from the website, and I will link it in the description. And you have checklists that I actually don't like. I prefer to use this checklist, so like, sorry, I just like this. Settings. So we have 3 avionics options, the standard GPS and the PMS and the TDS, depending on what you have. Once again, the PMS also has a free version that is lacking some features, but is still like very advanced. In the beginning, when it was being released, I was hoping for a radio navigation version only, but they said it's a kind of modern plane, so it doesn't make sense to fly without GPS, like blah, blah, blah. But then the first real live flight that I have seen on YouTube was exactly with a version without GPS, okay? So it's not like it's not possible, but like sadly it's not provided. Let me go back. So settings. So this is the system pools module, and you can see you can refill the oil here, clear vapor log, but you can also clear it with the correct procedure. Engine flooding the same, you can reset the whole state of the aircraft, repair the aircraft, wash it, because there's also a pretty advanced dirt system ongoing, and depending on the type of dirt that you will be exposed to, there will be different types appearing on the plane, which is also pretty cool. As you can see, I have everything on, so dirt and failures, and there's also a lot of failures that you can reset here if you get them. So it seems like a rather basic wear and tear system, but in reality I will show some stuff to you that is very advanced. And here we just have some visibility options, and if we want to have the covers on and stuff, so nothing too advanced here. And with this, let me just hide it and never show it again. I just think it detracts from the otherwise pretty high quality of the plane. It just kind of looks not very good, at least in my opinion. If you hide it and want it back, there is actually well, I'm not sure if there is anything visible on the windshield, but there is some dirt, and this dirt is the click spot. Once again, if you would not know, it would not be convenient to find it at all. So in general, I like to start it with the engine on, because then you can hear the pretty cool engine starting sounds, really advanced for MSFS. Actually, most GA planes don't have a really advanced startup process. It happens really fast and is not very varied. And in this case, this one is pretty advanced. So I want to have this door open, because otherwise you cannot hear most of it. As promised, maybe let me show you a nice view, because I will show you some paper documents which are normally boring, so at least you will have some nice views. And let me show you what is so special about this plane. So here you can see realistic wear and tear. So everything has an influence on the state. So sand, rain, humidity, temperature, pilot fineness, everything matters. And there will be details about this. And some of this stuff seems to be really unique to this plane. Also the age, when you are not flying the plane. Went on vacation, you might be due for an oil change next time you fire up the sim. So this is the same stuff that happens in the most advanced planes that we have. So I think A2A and the Cessna 310 from Milvis also had it. So here we have all of the systems, including the oil system and the consumption. So this is something that I always like to do, because this is part of the maintenance that you always do. So it's not that you are just very lucky and won't get anything to do for a month or two. With the oil change, you have to do it often, so at least you feel that you're doing something with the plane. So some other special stuff that is there is deforming tires, depending on the load, also pretty cool, and heating and glowing brake pads, so something that we normally only see in airliners. And here additional parts taken from the manual that I will also show you. So if you don't fly it for longer, there will be additional dirt on it. Let's just assume that you're not keeping it in a hangar, but outside. And also, for example, if you will be doing turns with a lot of G, then the wear will increase on some parts. So this sounds like something I have never heard about in planes. Maybe it's an A2A, but I'm not sure, because they are kind of mysterious when it comes to all of the details. And here, the aircraft on board battery will degrade over time with use. So this is similar as with A2A. It's not only that it's depleting with time because you're using it. It's also that with age, it will be weaker and weaker. And here you can also see if using in extremely cold weather, it will also degrade faster. And the maximum voltage obtainable will be lower. And here, for example, using the reading light as an example, the brighter the light setting you select, the quicker it will burn out. So something that is very, very rare in planes. And here I have the details that I have mentioned about the sale, about the price. So system pulse is normally costing 15 euros, and here it's like 50% of the price. And the Airvan is normally costing 27, and it's kind of half of it. But the sale on SimWorks Studios website, I'm not sure if I haven't said Fly Simware before, so no, sorry, it's SimWorks Studios, SWS. It will be in the description of the plane. It's only till the 28th, but from what I could see, there is currently a sale going on the marketplace where the plane is also on sale, and I think it will be going on longer than just till this day. So if you miss the SWS sale, there will be probably still the marketplace one. That saying, when it comes to the marketplace, this system pulse module is still not on the marketplace. So you would only get the plane without the module that is supposed to come later. But if you buy on SWS, you can buy both of those already. And here for career mode users, this is what people told me on the Discord, that this is what you can use it for. So a pretty nice selection. I think I can just close it and also show you the manual. It's pretty comprehensive, 78 pages. There is also a lot of table, but the only table that is missing is the one with cruise settings. So this is something that I have asked about on the Discord. And there's actually like a very nice real pilot of the Airvan there, and he has shared like the real table that I also have prepared here. That saying, he said that he's pretty much almost always using the same setting and doesn't care about tables. It's like a simple plane. Okay, so with this, let me now go inside. It's a little bit laggy, but I think it's because of all of the detail on the airport. We can start. The sounds are pretty nice. So the master battery switch on, beacon, and the fuel pump. And now let's crack the throttle, get some mixture, and let's hope it will work. If it won't, I will tell you a story. Okay, it did this time. So let me check if it's not too loud. Shouldn't be. So yesterday I spent like 5 hours on trying to turn the engine on because I was owning the plane for a long time now in 2024, but the system pulse module I just bought yesterday, and I didn't have the idea that maybe my plane is already outdated and was using like an old plane version with the new system pulse version. And there were lots and lots of issues, and I lost so many hours on trying to troubleshoot it. So if you are already an owner of the plane, please update it before adding system pulse to it. And with this, I think I can just close it. And this is also very important. The click spot for the door is here. There are a lot of other click spots, but they are not doing anything. So once again, how should you know? And because this plane is like so unintuitive, it can be a challenge, like especially for new people that might not be sure if this is like a good purchase to be friends, to become friends with it. Okay, avionics, nav lights, taxi light, fuel pump can go to off. And there is obviously spark plugs fouling, so we shouldn't go mixture full. But let me get the propeller lever. Nice. Let me just use the barrow reference here. So this is the barrow. That's saying I had to turn the time back a little bit, and then it sometimes goes crazy for me with the weather. So the sim shows that this is the current barrow, but I'm not sure. But we will see during the flight. When it comes to the flaps, we only have 2 settings. So flaps takeoff and then flaps landing. So we just take flaps takeoff. And I will talk about the takeoff data and stuff in a second. Yeah, so when it comes to the startup procedure, it's really realistic. So when I was struggling yesterday, I really was able to mess up the battery. So you need to pay close attention to the voltage. It cannot go down to more than 12 volts, like we can see here. other stuff. So in general, when it comes to the, in my opinion, lacking presentation of the plane, I think there have been many decisions that were not so wise when it comes to like selling the plane to people. So first is the very strange click spots, right? That you need hours and hours to like find your way around the plane. Then there's the EFB, which I think is like much under the rest of the quality level of the plane. And another one is, for example, keeping this empty. I suspect that they were basing it on a version of the real plane that had this empty, but at the same time it just looks boring. And I have seen many videos of like real pilots flying the real thing, and they have like a lot of placards here, that's CO2 tester, some devices, so anything to make it more boring. In this case, we do have this like very nice warm morning light that makes it look interesting, but normally if it's just bright sunlight, the interior can look very boring. And for example, this one, in real life, those have very nice like popping colors that just look, I mean, maybe beautiful, but it's like very nice looking. And here for some reason we have those washed out boring colors, so I'm not sure. I think the idea was to just take a very simple plane so they could simulate it to a very high degree, right? With very deep simulation. But I think visuals and sounds should also be on a very high level then. And while the sounds are sometimes very nice, especially the exterior sounds, let me just go outside, and maybe not in this second. Maybe if we add some. Yeah, they are really good. So I think they could work a little bit more on the visuals. Also this roof, I don't like at all. I think a better texture might be nice here. Also some details. Because, I mean, somebody could say that this is like a ugly plane in real life, but I have seen many videos, and because of the level of detail, because of the clutter everywhere, it really looks interesting inside, and I think they haven't captured it fully. Some additional details. I have seen some Airvans that had like placards here with speeds and stuff, so everything could work to make it a little bit more interesting, and this is just ugly, sadly, sorry. When it comes to those, they actually look nice in other lighting conditions, so that was a lot of talking, so let's hope we have everything. Let me just do a double check. Just to confirm, although you have probably seen it, forwards is on, backwards is off. Okay, so the landing light is still off. Those obviously all work because we have the deep simulation here, and this also works. The further side of it is the button that turns it on and off, and the back side of it lets you manipulate it, and it's also pretty cool once it's dark. At the very end we will just do like a small segment with it being dark, I guess. Okay, let me take a look here. Sadly, as far as I know, the settings for this are not provided, but especially if I have a lot of passengers, I like to move it back a little bit, because otherwise I do struggle, obviously depending on the wind, with the takeoff. So let's take a look at the temperatures. Good that I'm like talking so much, because it always needs some time to warm up. So here we have the oil temperature and the cylinder head temperature. Normally it takes like a couple of minutes depending on the temperature. And today it's really cold actually in New Zealand. Where is it? Here. Yeah, it's 0. Is it? Yeah, it's 0 because it's the inner ring. Okay. So this is also why it tells us that it wants pitot heat from us. And if you are annoyed by this whooshing sound that you can hear all of the time, you can just move the fan to low. And then you can also enjoy the engine sounds more. And with this, I think we can proceed. I'm not a fan of the wind. Looks like a crosswind for us, but we will still try. So in general, when it comes to those planes, they are produced in Australia, but they have been exported to a lot of countries, including many companies in New Zealand, but also like this Australian missionary force. I'm not sure if it's a religion one, but the humanitarian one is using it in a lot of countries, so it can be pretty much found everywhere. There are also some in Europe, in the United States, in Thailand, lots and lots of videos that you can find about them on YouTube. And just add some power. Let me make sure we have everything here. And we will taxi out. Some nice detail here. It's talking too much and would miss it. Yeah, I mean, it's only 0 degrees Celsius here, so I think this might be like this less summery version of what we are seeing here of the vegetation and stuff. But even with this, like the detail, the definition here is just beautiful. And something that I have also asked about on the Discord, and that it seems like the cabin is really isolating noise very well, too well for me, because when I was listening to real life recordings, it was pretty loud in the cabin. So maybe they are one of the developers that are assuming that the sound in the cabin is the sound with the headphones on. Let's prepare everything. Let me just do this. And let's do a magneto check, because the magnetos can fail. We need 2000 RPM for it. Maybe I will go outside. And now it's finally getting louder. Luckily during the flight it is pretty loud, or like enough to enjoy the sounds of the engine. There's also a nice whooshing sound of the wind if you move back. And here you can see the detail of the stabilizer. Really nice. Okay, but I wanted to test something, so let me now go back and test the magnetos. So the second one is always having a bigger drop for me for some reason, but the same thing I had in 8-way planes, so maybe that's real, but I'm not sure why it doesn't happen then in black square planes. There, a slightly bigger drop. Okay, everything is in the green, and in this plane it's important because they also have those cascading failures, that if one part fails, it might mess up a lot of other parts. And the example that was given was the oil filter, because the oil filter has failed and it wasn't noticed like for a long time. Additional particles got into the whole system and messed up the gearbox, which cascaded into the next failures. So when it comes to myself, I haven't experienced it yet, no failures yet, but at least what is described in the handbook is sounding really interesting. Let me now turn on everything because I was talking too much. So landing lights, strobe lights, fuel pump. Okay. Oh, and I wanted pitot heat. Yep. Okay, so we will have strong wind from the left. So knowing MSFS, it will expect us to also use a lot of left aileron, or like turning it into the wind. So let's do it. Well, that's a lot of wind. Okay, this pretty much always happens to me when I'm starting from this airport. So okay, I'm trying to keep the wing level. It's not so easy. And now we have rotate. Let's gain some altitude. and flaps up. There is a very strong reaction to the flaps both ways. If you retract them, the nose will move down, and there is a lot of ballooning if you deploy them. But from what I could see, this is realistic to the real thing. Okay, when it comes to the takeoff setting, takeoff is the only moment where we can use full RPM, but the limit is 2 minutes max, and then we will have to reduce it, otherwise we might mess up the systems. This is just great. I just love this takeoff here. Okay, what I especially like about this one, and it's something that they have improved, is the trim. So in many MSFS 2024 planes, the trim is very, very sensitive. And here it's like very, very detailed and smooth, which is just great. Okay, so we don't need the fuel boost pump anymore, and we don't need the landing light nor the taxi. Something that I think is missing, I mean also in the real plane, is the aileron trim, or the rudder trim. I think we only have the pitch trim. So in order to hand fly a lot, you have to use a little bit of rudder to keep it centered. That's saying it's behaving very, very nicely in the air. It's actually one of my favorite hand flyers. And it's really worth it, because the views are beautiful. Let me just use some external views that I have set up. Yeah, New Zealand is just great. And it's authentic to use those planes here, because there are a lot of companies that are either using them still or have used them in the past. So you can do like a slightly historical flight if you want to. Let's think, let me set up the heading. So I will maybe want to do some hands-off stuff in a second. Yeah, it's just my type of plane. I just love like transporting people in small rickety planes, I guess, rugged planes. Let me just make sure I haven't forgotten anything. It can also foul the plugs if you are cruising and are not leaning, and this is also described in the manual. So don't only look for it on the ground, right, to remember to lean it, but also during higher altitude cruise. So as you can see, we are leaving the direct route, but it's going through those high mountains, and we'll be taking the sightseeing route. It's really, really nice. So when it comes to the cruise settings, once again, we do have this, do we? Let me make sure that I have it here. This table, so at 4,000, the maximum would be, what is our manifold pressure? 25, so very close to what we have here. 2,500, so what we have now, and then we should expect circa at this speed. And I also like that it's so underpowered, because we do have lots and lots of planes that are very strong, that have a very strong power reserve, that will always save you if you need the power. But this, especially like packed with baggage and passengers, this is very weak, and you really need to watch out, which is just unique in a way, especially in a plane with failures, which makes it even more spicy. So this is something that I'm also appreciating. But as I said, it seems like I'm like very excited about the plane, but in reality, during the first couple of flights, I was like, "Ugh, this is ugly." And why can I not find all of the click spots, right? And it was really annoying, and I didn't like it at all. So, but I have it with many planes that like the first couple of flights, I'm not, well, I'm not impressed at all. I just need to learn exactly what to click, what the workflows are. And like look for the small stuff that makes me happy in a plane. And here it took me probably the longest from the planes I had, because it was like the first impression was very unimpressive in a way. Okay, let me... You will have a lot of this turbulence from MSFS. There are also those nice sunshades, and the position of them is actually being saved. So I was surprised I was using them during the last flight, and now when I came back, they were in the exact same position. I'm not sure if all saving works, because I have seen discussion that this sim update 4 bug has also messed up some of the saving functionality in this one. I'm not sure if everything of it was saved with the last patch, so I cannot guarantee that everything will be saved, but this is like the aim of the developer, and this was also working before the bugs. So even if it doesn't, let's hope it will quickly come back to the state that it was in. Oh, and here I never remember where to turn, so just give me a second. Not sure if it's this way or if it's this way and then that way, but we will see. Maybe I was turning here and it was wrong. So yeah, I think this is the valley that we want to see. And there are also like a lot of fuel filter related failures, because there are like 2 tanks and a sump tank here below, I think. And in the lines between them there can be also some clocks and stuff. So there was also a nice description. As I said, for now I was lucky, I didn't get anything, but it does exist. Is it correct? I never know. Let me just see. Yeah, I think it is. So let us turn here. And it also requires to follow the ball. This is not a very sharp turn here that we are doing, but when I was circling around the airport yesterday, I had to use a lot, especially when it was like lower speed circling. Yeah, nice. And we have really good weather. Normally I'm never sure if it's a good idea to use real life weather, but now we got lucky, because it's really perfect for this small tour. Yeah, and obviously during the first flight I forgot to remove this one, so watch out. Let me just zoom in. Always getting lost in this, because we want to reach this river. So I think we need to go up a little bit and then here. I was deciding if I should show you the night lighting here, but I think it's too early. We will just do it after the landing. Let's just turn. Yeah, once again, now you can see it. That it's like looks really bland, and it wouldn't take much to really add all of the like immersive clutter that many of the real ones have here. So this is something I would wish for. And I think one important thing to mention is also that we are close to a lot of terrain, and we are in MSFS 2024, and I'm on realistic turbulence, but still it's pretty stable in the air, which is not something that happens for many planes, I would say. Sometimes this realistic turbulence is really, really strong, so this might mean that the MSFS 2024 flight model was really introduced here correctly. Yeah, I really like the clouds that we have here. They look really nice. I also have a view like this. Let's not fly into the mountain here. Nothing you can click here as far as I know, but here you can see this texture, for example, looks really great, and this here down, whoops, sorry, this also looks really great. So it's pretty much the roof that I think they should like exchange for something better. Yeah. So in general, I hope that with the sale that they have now, and with like system pools being out for 2024 finally, they will see more people using this plane, and it will get more attention. From what I could see for now, the main users were the ones with career mode, because it's a pretty cool small plane that you can use for all of the stuff. Nice reflection here. And I also saw that like people had some charts here, or like tables, anything that would make it less boring. I don't know, because the real one is really like charming in the cockpit, and this, depending on the light and stuff, can look a little bit bland. So let's go lower. Yeah, lately I was reading up on what the legal requirements are for like flying low above terrain. Obviously it's not an easy topic, but from what I can understand, at least according to the FAA, it's around 2,000 feet if you are like in the mountains, and around 1,000 feet if you are like in flat terrain. But I'm not sure if this valley counts as mountains or as flat terrain. I really like those like sightseeing tours, especially in MSFS. So I like to know what is legal and what is not, but I will like only look at it when it doesn't mess up our fun from those flights. Really nice. Let's check if everything is in the green. Yes, yes, yes. This is nice. There is also a prime function, but I couldn't find it in the checklist. It was just like generally described that like for cold weather starts you would prime it. So this is something that I will still have to check out. And we can also check if the lights are working, so something that I have missed because I was talking too much. And you could, as you can see, it's like very toned down colors, and in the real one it's pretty much like candy popping with those colors, which also looks nicer. Let me maybe use the autopilot for a second. When it comes to the yaw damper, it's not working in the real one, so from what I know. So it's also not simulated here. It was like mentioned in the manual, although it was mentioned that it's inoperative, and not if it's inoperative in the sim or also in real life. I would assume, like with most of those very simple planes, it wouldn't be working. There is also an option to not have this autopilot at all, which with how stable this plane is, I think it's still flyable. That's saying the problem is that you have no rudder trim and no aileron trim, so you have to correct like the side leaning of the plane with the rudder, which is not always easy, especially if you don't have pedals. Let me go outside, make it a little bit slower. I need to buy a gamepad, because I know all of those like professional YouTubers are using a gamepad for those outside views, because then the movement, the turning movement is smoother, I guess. Yeah, and the outside sounds really, really nice. I think the only problem is that the cabin is isolating the sound too much, and this is why it's like too silent inside, too quiet. Yeah, I really like it. I was actually considering buying it on FS Economy, where I'm like flying for money. And for some reason it's like very, very expensive there, and I'm not sure why, because it takes only a couple of people, it's pretty slow, so I'm not sure why the price on the market so high, why the price is so high there. And it's also not in New Zealand, so I would need to bring it to New Zealand, which I'm not sure would be easy, because I think the range of it is like 700, 800 miles, so not that much. Yeah, I like how it looks, and there are like more and more liveries appearing for it. So everybody would probably find something for themselves. There is also this, I'm not sure what it is called exactly, just give me a second. Is it like Air Civil Service? It's an organization in the United States that is like, and I wouldn't call it like a paramilitary organization, but it's a civil organization that is working together with the government, for example, to patrol the borders or for search and rescue, and they are using those planes in the United States. Let me maybe gain some altitude here, so let's make it 3000. And if you haven't used this autopilot, it's one of the stranger ones. So if you want to use vertical speed, so like to climb, you have to click Alt again, because now it's in Alt mode, so you have to toggle Alt mode to VS mode, and now you can climb. I had it in the Cessna 310, and it is very strange to get used to this logic here, but it works, so I'm happy. I'm now trying to Google this thing. Is it not service? Oh yeah, it's Civil Air Patrol. Sorry, I was even watching like videos about them and now forgot. So let me just show you. And I'm not sure if there is a livery for them. No, this is... Oh, I think they might be using the US Air Force, because it's like a... Oh, and here, Civil Air Patrol. So if you want to fly it in the US, with this one you would have like many varied and exciting application areas, I guess, because they are doing all types of tasks in cooperation with the Air Force. Or the government, I'm not sure exactly, but it goes this way. And here, right after the turn, we will already have our airport. I can show you the map again of the area. So we are coming from here, and it's actually interesting because it has two runways. One is a normal paved runway, ooh, this is nice, and one is a grass runway. So we might take the grass runway, you will see. One problem with this plane in the beginning, when it was released, was that it didn't get enough power on grass runways. So, and in reality it's often operating from unpaved runways, so it didn't make any sense for the plane for it not to work there. And when I was testing it on the grass runway here on the airport, it was working without a problem, although it took a lot of time to take off. But I would just assume this is always the case when you operate from grass runways, especially if you have so many people in the back and it's not a very light aircraft. But we can do it. That saying, I cannot guarantee how it would work just somewhere out in the wilderness, right, if you have a patch of land. Because in this case, this grass runway is part of a custom payware airport. So maybe it was like specifically well prepared for being like landable by any plane. I'm not sure. And it's really a beautiful country. No wonder they have made the Lord of the Rings here. Actually, when I was in Iceland, they told the story that they were considering filming the Lord of the Rings in Iceland instead of in New Zealand. But the problem was that they were forbidden from bringing their own horses, because Iceland really controls what can be brought to, what animals and what products also can be brought to the island, because it's a pretty small island. and they are like afraid of epidemics and other stuff. So because they couldn't bring their own horses, and on Iceland they only have those very like small horses that they couldn't really use, they decided to film here. At least that's what the people in Iceland say, so I'm not sure if this is fully true. So one thing I would like to work, like in many planes, not only in this one, is the lighting, the instrument lighting, even during the day, because we had those like, and even now we cannot really see that much detail because it's pretty dark. But sadly, even in this one, I think we are on full, we cannot see it. But I think that this is a limitation of MSFS, although the PC-12 from the same developer has lights visible in the cockpit even during the day. So maybe it depends on what technique they decide to use. So our airport is here somewhere. Yeah, I think this is the big circle, so this is probably this. So let's just turn there. I'm just wondering if we have the right weather, because the barrow should be the same and the wind should be 10 knots from 230, so kind of from there, which is good enough for us, I guess. Like some crosswind, but still fine. So we don't need to turn to the other side. And here you can see the whole lake that was recreated in this Wanaka pack, so this one that I have shown you. I think I will just do a different flight in future, just exploring all of those small places here. It might be interesting, because I have explored the city here close to the lake, and it was okay, but nothing special. So I would like to take the time to take a look at in all of those like detailed, more out of the way places in another flight. So we will try to figure something out. Oh, it's here. Okay. Yeah, I'm pushing it, so we are using up a lot of fuel. Yeah, sadly there is no fuel switch, so you can never forget to switch the tank, which is sad, because I like to have something to do during the flight. So autopilot off, and we can slowly turn. Yeah, I really like how smooth it is. It's very similar to the Beaver, so the Milvis Beaver that was introduced, I'm not sure for free, I think for free, to MSFS. And in the beginning it also had this like very smooth, very satisfying feeling flight model. But then when it was ported to 2024, it started being twitchy, and I don't like it anymore. So fuel pump, landing light, taxi light. Let me make sure this stays in 2500. We would increase it if we would be cruising with less, so like according to the table here, but we decided to cruise with the maximum, so 2500. So we are okay. And this also goes in. This is sadly my like throttle lever on my joystick. This is what it likes to do. And it's also very, very stable on the approach, which I also like, because once again, normally when you have realistic turbulence, it can really try to kill you, especially on final approach. So it's nice to have something that is handling this flight model, like this physics model that we have in MSFS, in a proper way. Let me reduce the speed a little bit more. Yep, and now we can deploy flaps. And now we need a lot of trim down, because it's really ballooning with the flaps a lot. And this is really something that I haven't experienced for a long time, because for example in the Kodiak, there is automatic trim that is correcting the ballooning from deployed flaps, so it's as advanced as this one. So I have the landing speeds here, and the landing speed is 71. Oops. I was looking at the other stuff that I shouldn't be looking at, but not at this. Let me just see where the grass strip is. It's actually here. So let's just... Yep, we'll just turn. Okay. And lands normally on the grass. Obviously, I didn't see the grass correctly and was kind of aiming here and then had to do like a sharp correction, I guess, to land here. But I think maybe it wasn't so bad. We can take a look at the details. Let me just take a look. 95, almost a perfect score. So only too much pitch because I needed to get rid of the speed. Okay, so at least the application really liked my landing. I would say the sharp correction on very short final was not very professional. Let's get rid of the loud pump. And I will show you this great custom airport here. And this is the grass strip I was starting from, and there was no problem at all. That's saying this grass strip is like pretty long, and I would assume in reality it's also starting from shorter runways. I really like this effect in 2024, and I guess in 2020 it was also there. Yeah, it's a very enjoyable plane, and it makes me want to do additional legs, because normally when I do like one leg, one takeoff and landing, I'm already tired. But here with those short flights and it being so easy to start, operate, land so quickly without any effort, it does tempt me to just do another leg. I wanted to show you another part of this airport. So let's just proceed. There's a lot of interesting detail in this airport. And we will be taxiing to the... Can you hear the sounds? Pretty nice. Like the suspension working here. I think it's here. Just need to get rid of this. Go away. Okay. So we'll be crossing the other runway. And the sounds are really nice, but for me they are too quiet in the cockpit. I would like to enjoy them more without having to go into the outside view. Let's take a look around. No skydivers now. Here you can see a DC-3, also pretty unique, interesting. Helicopter. I think we can get rid of the landing light. And the strobe. It's not blind people. And you can also turn off the transponder. Yeah, I think especially for the money on the sale now, it's a really interesting offer. If you survive the first moments where it looks cheap and uninteresting, then it really starts looking nice. Okay. And let me maybe do the checklist, because I'm always forgetting something. after landing flaps up. Okay, this one I remember. Fuel boost is off, parking brake set, radios off. I'm not sure if you can even... Can you manually turn off the radios? I'm not sure. Don't remember. Oh no, it was somewhere here. It's a long time since I have been flying the A2A planes where I'm turning them off. So let's not do it. All electrical equipment off. So let's take a look. Pitot is off, taxi light we don't need, strobe light off, pump off, nav light we don't need, and we can turn on off the avionics. And now it's called mixture lean, but when you read it, it's mixture to cutoff. So yeah. And ignition to off. Okay, and for some reason they are using operating avionics before and after the start, which is something that I've learned not to do in many other add-ons, so I'm not sure if it's okay in the real plane. So normally you don't want to like have avionics on when you are turning on and off the plane, especially in older planes with those more simple electronic systems. But for some reason here they are saying it's totally okay. So we can go up. Yeah, the views. Okay. And we can release the passengers. Actually, this might be maybe a good moment to show you the night lighting. So let me go back inside. And let me get some battery juice. Actually, here you can see the lighting because the bluish one is the lighting. So here, I guess the current time is pretty nighty. Okay, very nice to read. I think it's one of those older effects. It's like not very refined, but it's like very crisp and you can see everything. So like, I think I like them. And here you can also see that the cylinder head temperature is being saved between flights. So there is also like a hot start procedure. So it seems to be in many ways at least as advanced as black square planes. And here you have those turn knobs to regulate the brightness here. And there is also like a courtesy light. Here there's a cabin light, which I don't like. I think the effect is not very nice. It's just here the light going along the roof. There is also like a nice courtesy light for the door. So here it's called wing light. And it's just like the last one here, close to the entrance. And this one I like. I can actually turn on all, just so you see what the effects of them are. If we are doing night lighting, let's do it correctly. Yeah, it's dark. So we cannot see that much, but it seems to be working nicely. And here you can see the light illuminating those people that are waiting to sky jump. Wrong one. Let's get back to some light. And now we can unload everything. So let's first take the package off. Oop, I hope it won't flip. And then let's take the people. No, almost turned. Okay. And we can also, if you would have discharge our battery, we have this emergency battery here that we could use to do another leg until we load it back up. And then we can also put everything back on. So guys, the Airvan from SWS, not fly SimWare. Okay. So I think it's really interesting. I will fly it more. It's exactly the type of plane I enjoy. I think it's a little bit sad that they haven't added some additional visual elements to make it like more enjoyable, more nicer looking. I'm not sure if they will. This will probably depend on the sales of this one, because I would expect that the PC-12 and Kodiak are much more popular choices for many people. So buy the plane, so I will get some more updates. Okay. Oh, this is nice. And I can really recommend it. I have done some flights with it. Okay, so the only thing that I'm not sure about is how exactly the failure system works, because I was lucky not to get it. But just by looking at all of the indications, at how the battery discharged, how the cylinder head temperature is holding, after all of those like small details, it seems like the simulation is really deep. There is actually one additional detail that I haven't talked about, what I was reading about, is that there is also weathering on the propeller. And depending on how you use the plane, the weathering will be faster or slower. And the detail that was provided was that, for example, if you are often flying low, where there's like more dust in the air and stuff, the weathering of the propeller will be quicker. So like really crazy detail. And as I said, although I think the package is still a little bit behind the highest level competition when it comes to maintenance feature, this is the only plane like this that has those features, maybe apart from the Black Square Caravan, that has the failure features, but not the maintenance and ownership features. So once again, it's not the same. And this is a really nice effect here. Okay, let's not prolong it. I hope you had fun. I hope you have enjoyed it, and I see you in future GA flying videos. Thank you. Bye-bye.